Session 556, Deleted Portion. Now, we will simply begin on this matter this evening. This is a hysterical reaction. Do you understand? Ralph said, yes. The right-hand tremor, which I had explained to Jane in detail at break. They said, from your work with the pendulum, you understand some points. The affair began, however, when you first realized that your father would be no longer operative. He had not lived up to your mother's plans for him, and would now obviously not do so. Emotionally, you saw this as the death of your mother's hopes, and felt on the one hand that it was up to you now, so that this reactivated older feelings from the past that you had pretty well handled. This occurred precisely when you had strong doubts as to whether or not you should stay on the job, and strongly considered it would be best to leave. When you think of leaving, you come face to face with the same conflict. For she wanted you to succeed as a commercial artist. She thinks it far more laudable that you work in an art department with steady wages, and you know this. Rand noted, like artistic car company. They said, give us time. The condition has meaning on other levels also. It serves to remind you that the issue is operating. Do you follow me? Ralph said, yes. They said, it also serves by giving you another message, that you do want to leave, and that your desire to do so has been affecting your work. If you had to stay, and if you will not be given as much money as you think you should receive, then you will see to it that the work will suffer. This is resentment. Now, I am giving you, presently, the picture as seen by your subconscious. The small but frequent breaks in the fine lines represent those times when the resentments break through. The resentment, carried far enough, could affect your work to such a degree that it forced you to leave, which is exactly what one portion of you wants, and that portion does not care how this is done, though it does not want your painting affected. Other portions are afraid to leave because of the feelings concerning your mother, mentioned earlier. You are also afraid, however, to some extent and under certain conditions, of working, even painting, entirely at home because your father worked at home and did not do well. The job has served to keep you from realizing that. Rand noted, true. They said, in writing, the difficulty shows itself because you are trying not to communicate certain things to yourself. In other words, inhibiting material. Some that I have mentioned this evening that you have been thrusting aside. You have not wanted to know these things, considering that they were beneath you, and strongly condemning any feelings that you could not accept as adult, and after your own lectures to Ruber, you should know better. Ralph said, I am ready to accept them now. They said, a blockage of feeling, in other words. At work, you mar your performance. You did not want to perform well, because you are resentful. Then, you were resentful over the resentment whenever you became closely aware of it. You were more affected by your friends. Rob noted, Curtis can't. Seth said, departure than you realize, wondering if you yourself should find a better painting commercial job. And yet, angry that you even had such thoughts, when what you really wanted was to stay home and paint. Rob asked, how can I ask you about this business now? Seth said, the episode also has some connections, again, with your father, in that you feel sometimes, and subconsciously, that you will be old and trembling and still at a job. The departure of your friend serves to bring this up to your mind. Rob said, his hands shake too. Rob noted, I suddenly recalled that Kurt's hands have an obvious tremor, a fact I have long known. Seth said, that is why you asked me tonight. Rob said, wait a minute, because he left? Seth said, because he left, and because you knew his hands shook also. At times, he wanted to throw his work across the floor. You need to take a revaluation of your situation, and to act upon what you learn. This might or may not mean leaving the job, but it will mean a new awareness of all the issues involved, and your attitudes. Take your subconscious attitudes seriously. Consider them. Rob said, well, I guess I am beginning to. I have thought often that I would leave the job eventually. I've especially begun to think this within the past year. Seth said, I have already made comments earlier dealing with that. When you read over the material, you will see. Rob said, I intend to. Seth said, you will get further information through the pendulum, and you may try automatic writing. I will help you in any case. It is important for some of this that you work it out through your own system. Part of you communicating with another part. Rob said, that's what I've been trying to do. Seth said, rather than being simply told by me. The knowledge comes from you then, but I will help you. Now, we will end the session, but I will have more to say as you ask me. Rob said, very good. Thank you very much. Seth said, my fond wishes, and you will succeed in working it out. Rob said, good night, Seth. Thanks again. Seth said,